everyone, it's Jennifer here from Hybrid Rasta Mama, and I am here to chat with you about getting rid of moths for good. When I lived in Northern California, I actually didn't deal with a lot of moths. Every so often we might get some pantry moths or something like that, but really we didn't have a ton of moths, which really surprised me because when I came to Arizona, oh my gosh, the moths here are insane. I always have moths in the house, and we kind of joke about how our house rabbit manifests these moths because she wants little friends, and it's pretty cute because actually the moths really do seem to like her. I personally don't mind moths because I don't really have anything that they can destroy, and they're not out of control, but every so often they do start to appear in excess, and then I need to get rid of them. So really, there's kind of two different kinds of moths. There's the year-round moths, which are the pantry moths, and then there's the moths that come out in cooler weather because things like woolen garments are starting to come out, and moths really like those. So it's like they have this sixth sense that, oh hey, here comes the woolen undergarments and the woolen sweaters and things like that. So first, getting rid of moths can be a huge challenge, and that's because moths are very, very clever, and they're also very resilient. They are clever in the sense that they will lay their eggs in places like carpet because that affords them a lot of protection. They're very, very safe in carpet, and they lay them in remote places. They're not just going to lay them in a high traffic area. They also will lay them in different kinds of upholstery in your couches and things like that. So they're very creative in where they're laying their eggs. The traditional methods of getting rid of moths tend to be with really foul smelling products like mothballs. I think all of us can kind of remember a grandparent or something where you go in their house and it's like, whoo, wow, there's the mothball sweater. And nobody wants to walk around smelling like a nasty mothball, right? So when you're looking at natural ways to get rid of moths, the first step is always vacuuming. Lots and lots and lots of vacuuming. You want to vacuum, especially if you have carpet, thoroughly vacuum the carpet. Get under the furniture, get in the corners, get underneath the cabinets. I mean, every single spot in your house, you've got to get in there. Vacuum, vacuum, vacuum. That's your first line of defense. And you want to vacuum everything multiple times per week. So this is not just a one-off event. You definitely need to make sure that you are vacuuming 3 times per week. You can do it every day for 7 days. That would be ideal, but make sure that you at least do it 3 times per week. You'd be surprised how much you kind of miss at that first sweep. So ideally, you want to get in every nook and cranny every day for 7 days. Next, when you hit your kitchen, you definitely want to discard anything in your pantry that is open, like that's a grain-based product, because the moth larvae love to get into those bags. If it's a brand new bag, that's fine. Most likely they're not in there. And what you can do to store your grains is definitely a glass jar that has a very secure lid and a seal. So something like a good old mason jar. Best place. Moth larvae have a really difficult time getting into those. Moth repellents. I personally really, really like lavender buds and flowers. Not only do they smell nice, moths hate them. Really, really hate them. And so this is great, especially in a closet or something that's a little more closed up. You don't want to have something in that environment that is, not a very agreeable smell. So the lavender buds and flowers specifically are great to kind of sprinkle in your closets and things like that. Also cinnamon sticks. Moths really dislike cinnamon. So if you take cinnamon sticks and put them inside garbage cans and in cabinets, closets, garment bags, things like that, the scent really lingers for a long time, so it can work very well to repel moths for quite a while. People may not love that smell, but if you can get over that a little bit, it's a great way. The lavender buds and flowers are awesome, but you have to replace them quite often. And, because they're dried, they're, kind of shed and break up a little bit, so they can create a little bit of a mess. Cloves are also another thing that moths hate, and it's kind of the same deal with cinnamon. You're going to sprinkle a handful of cloves, in cabinets, in pantries, in closets, places like that. And again, they do leave kind of that residual aroma, so you may or may not love that, but the great thing is the moths really dislike that strongly. So those three tend to repel moths very, very well. Now, using essential oils as a moth repellent, this is very, very important. Don't do it. Things like lemon, mint, eucalyptus, and bay leaf, especially in essential oil forms, but also dried herbs, feed the moths. They love those scents and those flavors. And unfortunately, there are lots of essential oil sites that have various blends or even just these single oils, and they promise that they will work to get rid of moths. Nope. Moths love those and they feed off of them, and you don't want to use those. So be very, very careful with that. Something else that you can do is actually make a moth trap, and it's really easy to do. It's just fly paper and super stinky cheap fish oil. So kind of like the fish oil that you would take for some good omegas. You just get the cheapest, stinkiest stuff, and you just dab a bit right onto that fly paper. You hang it in your pantry, you hang it in your closet, wherever you see those moths. And the moths can't help themselves. They love that stinky fish oil smell. They fly right over to it, and boom, now they're stuck on the fly paper. So also, I do have a recommendation on my site. If you have multiple species of pantry bugs and things like that you're dealing with, they actually have kind of this pre-made product that's very, very safe and very effective and works quite well if you don't want to be making your own fly paper moth traps. But those fly paper moth traps do work really well. Although I have had one gentleman who tried them and has tried like 10 different brands of fish oil, and for whatever reason his moths are just super keen, or very, very smart moths. They won't go near it. And he actually then ended up putting what did he, oh, that's right, he did end up putting lemon, because they do like the smell of lemon. So he had a lemon flavored fish oil, and that finally did the trick. Normally you wouldn't want to use a flavored fish oil, just a plain old fish oil, but he chose a lemon one. I'm sure orange flavored fish oil would work too, but yes, that one finally did get them, and he was able to finally start catching the moths. So anyway, those are just some tips and tricks, and I hope that they do work for you. If you've tried anything else that has worked, definitely feel free to always share those in the comments. I love learning from other people and seeing what your experience has been, and what finally got rid of your moths. So feel free to leave that in the comments. All right, bye.